Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Host Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. Reports of a rift in St. Lucia's opposition UWP ahead of convention. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Friday, 25th November 2022. Details when we return.
Hubbard's Multi-Department Mount Gay and Hubbard's Tire Bay, located at the Building Supplies compound in Grand Anse, are reminding the motoring public that another round for licensing and inspection has begun. Just arrived on new shipments of quality furrowed and torque tires to fit all makes and models of vehicles at competitive pricing. Shop early to avoid the hassle of long lines. WhatsApp them on 473-405-5482. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
Welcome back. UWP leader Alan Chastany has shrugged off reports of an alleged rift between him and his party's recently appointed General Secretary, Oswald Augustine. Once a staunch supporter of the political leader, Augustine has in recent times been very critical of Chastany's leadership on social media. Zane Romulus of the DBS News World reports.
Reports of a rift in the UWP camp have intensified as the party tries to regroup following the defeat at the July 26 poll. Social media has become the arena of choice for supporters and members to throw jabs at each other as they clash over the party's leader, Alan Chastany. One party member who has been openly critical about Chastany's leadership style is Oswald Augustine, who now holds a position essential to the reorganization of the UWP. At a November 16th meeting of the National Executive, Augustine was appointed General Secretary of the UWP. However, some have called the legitimacy of the appointment into question. Augustine, who is currently off island, says he will fully address the issue upon his return. Meantime, the UWP's political leader does not seem too perturbed about Augustine's views on his leadership. He has dismissed it as mere squabbles in the lead-up to the party's first convention since losing the election.
He's back in the party, so obviously he must have had a change of mind. So I'm very grateful for that.
Do you believe his appointment was unconstitutional?
Excuse me?
Do you believe his appointment was unconstitutional, the meeting that was held to vote him in?
No, there was a quorum at the meeting. But look, these are internal matters. The reality is that we have bigger things to talk about than what's going on in the United Workers' Party. The United Workers' Party is going to be fine. We're preparing for a convention. I hope everyone will appreciate that when you're leading up to the convention, people's emotions get hot. We are talking about leadership of this party at a very crucial time. This is probably one of the most important conventions that we're going to have in the history of the United Workers' Party, given where this country is heading. So we need all hands on deck.
Member of Parliament for Choiseul Bradley Felix, who also shared his views on the situation, sees the arguments over the party's leadership as democracy in play.
People will not always favor one individual, and there's always going to be that sort of, to use our local palace, halikase. But convention of the party will be coming up. All of these matters will be put to rest. It's not the first time we have had that sort of, fighting with regards to who should lead and who should be, in charge.
The Choiseul MP was questioned by members of the media about whether he would accept a nomination for the party's leadership. This was his response.
If my name comes up in the ring, we'll see how that goes. Are you prepared for that? You must always be ready for anything.
The UWP's political leader, meanwhile, is looking forward to the party's convention, which he disclosed could be held on February 26, 2023. A report which was commissioned following the party's July 26 defeat is expected to be released to the party's new executive then. For the DBS News World, I am Zane Romulus.
Eastern Caribbean Central Bank official encourages caution when investing in cryptocurrencies. SKN Newsline's Andre Huey has that story.
Blockchain researcher and scientist Dr. Daniel Joseph is encouraging persons to engage in proper research and due diligence checks before investing in cryptocurrencies. Speaking on this week's edition of ECCB Connects, Dr. Joseph shares information on the risk and benefits associated with investing in cryptocurrencies. He says a key feature of cryptocurrency is the decentralized financial system, which allows an individual to make money move across borders without the restrictions of a broker or financial regulator.
historically, the value of Bitcoin or most cryptocurrencies have been quite volatile. So you could wake up one morning, a Bitcoin could be worth $100. Tomorrow it's worth $2. It loses value. Tomorrow it could be worth $200. So if you have a fiat that's stable, like I said, you'd be willing to purchase something at the store because this $2 is worth $2. But would you purchase something at the store if tomorrow that $2 bill is worth $100? You might want to wait. So because of the volatility, the non-fungibility, and people seeing the cryptocurrency as more as an investment.
According to Dr. Joseph, some advantages of cryptocurrencies include free and quick movement of funds, as well as easy access to financial services, products, and instruments. He notes, however, that cryptocurrencies are quite volatile and involve a very high risk. Furthermore, the decentralized system on which the cryptocurrency operates does not allow for any recourse or layer of protection for the investor.
Decentralized trust, in that you have many individuals, any individual who wants to can be part of the process. So you have multiple nodes that each of them have a copy of the ledger. Like instead of the bank having one copy of the ledger, everyone has a copy of the ledger. Now the challenge is if everyone has a copy of the ledger, how do you know which version of the ledger is correct? Because any of the participants could make some changes maliciously or otherwise. So how do you know which is the correct ledger? So the key challenge was to be able to solve a consensus, to reach a consensus as this is the correct version of the ledger. So what Bitcoin did when it was introduced in 2009, 2008 was to come with a solution of reaching that consensus.
Dr. Joseph cautions that prior to investing in these types of cryptocurrencies, a person should conduct research. In recent months, there has been an increase in the use of cryptocurrency in St. Kitts and Nevis, most notably the Bitcoin Cash. To view the full discussion with Dr. Joseph, persons are encouraged to log on to the ECCB's YouTube channel and Facebook page, ECCB Connects. I'm Andre Huey for SKN Newsline.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
Yet another female regional legal practitioner, this time based in New York, has been disbarred. Tiana Cole of HGP Regional News reports.
Jamaican-born New York-based attorney Audrey Thomas has been disbarred from practicing law in the state of New York, arising from a case of misappropriation of funds belonging to a client. The New York State Supreme Court's Grievance Committee announced last week that effective November 9th, Thomas, 53, can no longer present herself as an attorney in the state. A statement from the committee outlined that Thomas pocketed some $630,000 out of $770,000 that was being held in a bank from a real estate deal for our client Rhea Murray. Thomas was accused of making 12 improper cash withdrawals from the Bank of America account, violating the Rule 1.15a of professional conduct. Thomas' law office is located on Francis Lewis Boulevard in Queens. In her disbarment defense, Thomas conceded that she used Murray's fund to promote herself as an author, a radio show host on WVIP 93.5 FM in New York. She also stated that her use of the funds was authorized by Murray, whom she claimed she had a long-time personal relationship. In her testimony during the hearing, Murray denied such claims. The committee ruled that Thomas failed to honor her obligations and misappropriated substantial funds entrusted to her in the Madison Street property sale. Thomas on Wednesday said that she plans to challenge the ruling. I am filing an appeal against the disbarment, as some of the funds were illegally spent and used as payment for the 32 cases I handled for Murray. The only thing is that I didn't have a signed document from Murray authorizing the payments, she asserted.
At the Red House in Port of Spain, Trinidad, the leaders of the two opposing sides in the Commonwealth Youth Parliament, or CYP, sat at the same head table for a media conference, something that has not been done by the Prime Minister and opposition leader of Trinidad and Tobago for quite some time. And they, the youth parliamentarians, would like to see politicians of both sides of the political divide in the Commonwealth, to which Trinidad and Tobago and Grenada belong, work together in the interest of the people. TV6's Jewel Brown reports.
In the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago, where collaboration between the two main political parties over the past few years has been the exception, the Commonwealth Youth Parliament's Prime Minister, Deshaun Cook, and opposition leader, Janelle Gordon, who are both from Jamaica, were seated side by side for a media conference. They fielded a question from TV6 News about collaboration in Commonwealth parliaments.
I would really love to see prime ministers and opposition members, and not just them, but their entire cabinets, sharing spaces, but not just for public ops, but to ensure that they are also working together for the betterment of the citizens that they serve.
So I too would like to see the Prime Minister and the opposition of a country sitting together at the head of the Commonwealth or even in other jurisdictions. It shows that the government and the opposition is able to put service above self.
Shakir Lewis, the Youth Parliament's Shadow Minister for Labour, who is from the Turks and Caicos, answered a question about service above self with regard to the future of politics.
To say that I want to go into politics with that mindset that, 5 years down the line, I'll be driving a Benz and I wouldn't be really caring for the people who elected me, is to say that, why did I go into politics? Because if you don't have that passion, that drive for your job, it then becomes work. And when it becomes work, then you know you didn't go into this for the right reasons.
Christian Martinazzo from Australia served as the Youth Parliament's Chief Whip.
I think if we're going to have tangible outcomes for youth who want to get involved in politics and want to have their voice heard, the first step is for the parties to understand that, not just talk about how their decision impacts on the future and the young people who inherit the future, but actually let us young people at their table making the decisions, holding positions in the executive, having a key role in campaigns.
Patham Ranasinghe Arkij, the leader of the House, who is from Sri Lanka, spoke about the key role of the Youth Parliament in the future of politics, while Ms. Gordon said she thinks she is destined for politics.
But as for now, I'm more focusing on like my pharmacy school and so on. So it's not something that I see myself doing, but definitely after probably the next 5 years, you'll see me in politics.
The Commonwealth Youth Parliament ended on Wednesday. Jewel Brown, TV6 News.
A top official of the Caribbean Export Development Agency says that crime and problems with the ease of doing business do present challenges to attract investment to Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean region in general. TV6's political editor Jewel Brown seeks out the answer.
Increased trade and investment between the African continent and the Caribbean region was a key focus of the 2022 Caribbean Investment Forum from November 8th to 11th at the Hyatt Regency Hotel in Port of Spain. Among the questions the TV6 News has sent to the Barbados-based Caribbean Export Development Agency, which was a main organizer of the forum, what are the direct benefits to be gained by Trinidad and Tobago? The agency's manager of competitiveness and export promotion, Dr. Dami Sinanan, offered a response.
Trinidad and Tobago benefited greatly from the hosting of the Caribbean Investment Forum. Private sector firms from Trinidad and Tobago were able to attend and network and meet with a myriad of investors from around the globe, as well as the Caribbean region themselves.
Dr. Sinanan said the direct benefits of those conversations will be known in the next couple of months.
But in terms of profiling Trinidad and Tobago as investment destination to these investors and to the Caribbean region and the world, Trinidad and Tobago benefited greatly. Investors were able to do site visits to investment projects in Trinidad and Tobago. They were able to see what Trinidad and Tobago has to offer as an investment destination. So from that point of view, they benefited quite greatly.
But what about challenges such as crime and ease of doing business?
Well, these do present challenges to attract investment. There's no doubt about it. I mean, when you look at across the region, crime sometimes in Trinidad and Tobago and ease of doing business can be an issue. But we must recognize that there's no investment utopia in the world. Every market that are looking to attract investors, they face their own challenges. Many of them are linked to the ease of doing business.
The government of Trinidad and Tobago says it is addressing those issues.
What is important is that Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean region play up our competitive advantages while we try to overcome and downplay whatever challenges that we have. Any smart investor will know that the advantages that the region has to offer will many times outweigh the challenges that exist.
And are there unique advantages for Trinidad and Tobago, given that it is an oil and natural gas producing and exporting economy?
Trinidad and Tobago has a number of competitive advantages that is advantageous to attracting investment in the region. For example, they have a strategic location, being extremely close to South and Central America, as well as within striking distance of the United States. So any investor can benefit directly from Trinidad and Tobago's strategic location. They also have a highly skilled and educated workforce. There's also competitive advantages in terms of the cost of energy and electricity that are attractive for investors.
Jewel Brown, TV6 News.
Hubbard's Motor Department Mount Gay and Hubbard's Tire Bay, located at the Building Supplies compound in Grand Anse, are reminding the motoring public that another round for licensing and inspection has begun. Just arrived on new shipments of quality furrowed and torque tires to fit all makes and models of vehicles at competitive pricing. Shop early to avoid the hassle of long lines. WhatsApp them on 473-405-5482. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.